Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Monday. It's October 3rd. We're starting a new month today. September's behind us, and even though we started out in a downtrend today, you got a nice two-tiered channel working lower here. You can see, really, we spent the entire. Here's the open where the blue turns to white, and really, you can see we spent the entire day in a range. It ranged from about 2147 with a high of about 2156, maybe you call it 57. So it's about a 10-point range. But most of the day was inside of that 10 points. So we really didn't have a whole lot of movement today. And we really closed, I think we closed slightly down. Yeah, you can see we closed here on Friday. And so we closed slightly down today, not by much, but again, we had a pretty nice sell-off here and a nice downtrend. You can see we're working down. You get a close outside, move to a new low, and then we never could get any higher than those previous highs on this correction right here. So, but you can see the shorter term. It was a short-term trend line down that took most of the morning, and then another one up that took most of the afternoon. You can see this one coming down the break, a new low. Then we start working up the break, a new high, and we never go any higher. So everything kind of played out by the rules today. Pretty slow, to be honest. Not a whole lot of trades. You had to be patient, really, because the first really solid trade didn't occur till around 9 o'clock. There's some reasons to take all these. We'll talk about them, but I still think they're a little aggressive. Um, but let's back out. We'll talk about the trades, and probably won't take long today. So there's not a lot of them to talk about. But anyway, you can see this was when I came in, we were working down and we were coming out of a trading range. So, but there is a trend line working right there. You can see those first two swings and then it pulls back. So that's uh, you can treat that really like it's a breakout pullback short, but you can really treat that as a confirmation of this trend line working down. The only reason this one is green is because it's 2 or 3 ticks from the overnight low. And anytime you take that trade, there's a chance it bounces. It looked like it was going to bounce and it turned on down. So I think it's a little risky. I wouldn't, if you're wanting to take high quality trades following the rules, you want to skip that one. But there's reasons to take it. It is a breakout pullback short. It is a confirmation. Notice the trend line. There's your first two swings. That's the third touch. It's a fairly bearish bar. It's just so close to the lows is the problem. So you come down here and you get a break of that, and you get a second entry here, but it's too bullish. And you could use this for your signal bar, but then it's right into the low. So the only way to enter would be to drop a limit order here and see if it comes back, which it did. You could have got filled really all the way back to here, but then you're better off just to enter right here. So, but again, it's a lower high, but it's only a first entry because notice the new low there. You don't get a second entry till here. So it's still a little aggressive. That's the reason it's green. And notice you get your failed second entry long here. And this would be a second entry short as well, but it's right into the lows of the day. So again, a little risky. If it would have ticked higher right there and then turned down, you'd had more of a trap, but you probably trapped some people right here. And you can see how it rocketed down pretty quick right there in that one bar. And that's generally a good sign. So, but again, I'm going to make it green. It's just not a great setup. But then you finally bounce. Notice how we're bouncing off this trend line right here, and it's pretty much equal distance. This is a little bit lower here. That's a very small bar. You really could, I like that setup. I'm hesitant to even make it green because you're trying to pick bottoms, but it's only three ticks there, and it's a double bottom. You've had your close outside here and 2 legs down. We're way past time for a bounce, but you got to be careful with these. You're a good bit away from the EMA. Hadn't been back to the EMA since really way up here at 5 in the morning, so we're way overdue. And it would have been a nice trade if you took it, but again, I'm even hesitant to make it green. I will, just because based on what we talked about, But I think when you start trying to pick tops and bottoms, you'll get burned more times than not. And let me put the other side of this one on there because this is a critical piece of this one. Notice you got a channel working up here. You get an overshoot here. You get a double top. You come down right off that trend line. You get a bearish bar. You're way away from the EMA. So that's why this one is still red, even though technically it's a first entry, and even though we really haven't got a close outside the channel yet and a new high. But you get an overshoot here, and you get a double top, and you get it off the key entry point. So that one's hard to pass up, being that far away from the EMA. I like that one. A lot of times when you get an overshoot at a key entry area like that, you're not going to get a break and a new high in place. You end up getting that break and new high here. You could even call this a new high on this one as well. So, and that may be why prices traveled back so far before finally selling off again. So just something to think about. But this turned out to be a pretty nice trade. You get a lower high here, and notice all those matching highs right across there. I don't have my line on there. Let's put one over there just so you can see it. Makes it easier to see. And see, that's a failed break higher. And so when it went out this other side, have your sell stop sitting right there. And that was a quick, easy scalp. You didn't get any more. If you didn't get out, let's say you used this for your signal bar, it would have been a 4-tick failure most likely. But it gave you 3 different opportunities to get out with a tick or two before it bounced. And I would definitely say do that. Once it started going sideways here, you can see how flat that EMA, and look how it's swinging back and forth both sides. I wouldn't enter in this thing anymore after that. It's really kind of a range. You can see that. And there's where your lows are coming across. Stay out of that. You can't get short down here in the lows, and you can't really get highs in here. You could almost go long right here because you got the trap, and it is a breakout pullback second entry long, but it's right into these highs. There's not a whole lot of room. I mean, I'm willing to even give that one a green because it's real close. I kind of liked it, but I didn't really want to mark it, but you could argue for that one. And notice what happens. You get couple of moves up and you get a failed break higher. You really want to wait on a lower high here, which doesn't come to way down here, and then you're kind of going sideways, and I think you're better off to wait and see if you get that failed second entry long, which comes right here. Notice you're moving down, first entry long, pull back, second entry long, it fails instantly. And if you draw this trend line and drag it up, you're looking for it to form somewhere right in here. And so when it broke higher first, so it's almost a repeat pattern from over here. Just put your stop there, and if you weren't in yet, when it pulls back here and gives you the failed second entry long, because notice that's a new high. That's like your third. Well, really, actually, that's not. Technically, that's not a failed second entry long, so scratch that thought. It's just the third touch and the confirmation of that trend line, and it is a little bit of a trap, and it's a big bearish bar. So go short there. But here's your failed second entry long, because that's a double top. And so you got a new high, first entry, pull back, second entry. It fails, instantly turns down, so go short again right there. And if you were in any of these and not out, you could add on any 3 of those if you really wanted to. I like them all. And that's where you build up a little, you build up a little set of contracts, and you get a little runner down to the last low. As soon as it starts to go sideways, I'd exit all those runners, and it's a nice little payday right there on just those little entries right there. So I like those setups. And then you bounce, you get the first close outside this trend line right here. Notice you get a break of that trend line, move to a new high. This is your signal bar, but technically your stop has to go above this bar because that's the high of the swing. But just put your stop right there, and it's another quick ride down. You get a little breakout, kind of a little failed bounce there. Really, it's not really. It's really a breakout pullback of that support right there, pull back short. But And this really, you would have this down here by this time. So there's a little bit of room there, but there's not really enough to get out before these lows. So I didn't mark that one. And then notice it fails when it breaks lower and bounces. If this one would have had a little break lower and went out, I would have liked going long there. You still could argue for going long on that one right there, because this is a failed break lower, but you really need another move down, which doesn't happen till here. And so that's where you really get your trap and your failed second entry. Your reversal pattern completes right there. So I like going long. And notice the new low, first entry short, pullback, second entry short. So because this is a trap type setup, you don't have to have a perfect signal bar. So just go long right there. And notice how it really shot up right there. That tells you that something's going on, that you probably had people trapped. And then it pulls back again. And notice that makes a new low. And you get a first entry short, second entry short. So when it goes higher right there, I like, and those are all bouncing right off the trend line. So I like going long again there. Another quick move up. And then of course, this is where you would have been expecting something to happen, and it shoots right on through. And notice it does turn up right there. But notice how we kind of got that reversal pattern setting up, and that's actually a failed second entry long. So when it turns, and it's that it goes higher, then turns and goes out the other side, so it goes short right there. And then it finally bounces here. It bounces. By this time, you would have moved your line up to those last closes and touches, and notice it bounces right off of it. You're probably better off waiting on a new high here. It comes here, but it's after the 2 o'clock mark. But there's enough reasoning right here to go long right here if you want to. What I would do, because that bar is so huge, I'd let it break higher and drop a limit order. And you see, you could have gotten filled all the way back to right here. You can't. You want to get the best entry you can, but you can't be too conservative, because if you try to get in way down here, you see you would have missed it. So generally a couple of ticks back, just enough to make sure you fall within the 2-point rule for your stop, and your stop has to go below the low of the swing, so it's got to go below that bar right there. So you want to get in here at least enough to fall within that rule, and that's generally what I would shoot for. And if you don't make it and it goes without you, then hey, you still played it right, and you stayed within the rules, and you didn't hurt yourself. So but yeah, that was it today. There just weren't. It's pretty flat, and so it's a range day, and really you just have to take the longs off the lows. And you can, and if you got enough room and you got a good trend going within, and you get the setup just like we did here and here, take it. But when you really got to be careful is when you get right in the middle of all this stuff and it's just kind of going sideways like that. And maybe like that. This is more the middle right across here, and you see we're working both sides of it. So, but you got a trend line working up here and a trap, so that one's good. And then you got one working down and you get a trap there, so I like that one as well. But yeah, not much else we can say about today. Like I said, in the big picture, it's just a range day, and everything's within an 8 to 10 point range. We spent most of the time within a 6 to 8 point range, but the entire from high to low is about 10 points. So decent trading day, nothing to write home about, but there's some trades there. No big runners, but there was enough that you could, if you just played the range and used that for your exit point each time, you probably did okay. So, but anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.